This is the Pastor's Coach with award-winning, best-selling author, Dr. Dave Williams. Encouragement and guidance for today's pastor. And now, here's Dave.
Maybe you're a new pastor and want to organize your church for maximum fruitfulness for the kingdom of God. Where do you start? Well, there are various models, but I'll share what worked best for me. First, you need an official board. Ours was comprised of 6 deacons and 2 elders. The deacons oversaw the practical matters of the church, and the elders handled the spiritual matters and discipline. They were selected by a nominations committee and ratified by the congregation. All board members must be screened and approved first by the nominations commission, then by the board, then finally by the pastor. My first 4 years as pastor, I suffered through my share of floor elections and the miseries they brought. When candidates for the board are not screened and simply elected from the floor of a business meeting, you can get people who don't share your vision, your doctrines, or philosophy of ministry, and you know what it does? It creates tension, hinders growth, obstructs unity, and a whole host of other matters that can turn your church sideways. People in leadership must be qualified biblically. Every deacon and elder represents the pastor to the congregation. Now, an unbiblical understanding of a church board can have the same effect on a church as an evil principality. Remember, all board members represent the pastor, not like a Congress representing the people to the pastor. Second, you'll want a staff member for all the departments, whether they're lay staff or paid staff. There's only one pastor for any church, even though we call the staff pastors Pastor Jim or Pastor Maureen. There is no senior pastor. There is only one pastor. There is no lead pastor. There is really only one pastor, and each staff member represents that pastor. Now, I set up only 8 departments, not including the executive department, my department. We had to have helps. They took care of ushers, greeting, all the miscellaneous things, missions, education, accounting, children, youth, music, and adult care. I don't see why a church needs any more than that. The pastor acts as a coach to the department leaders. He loves them as his team, instructs them, and disciplines them if necessary. That's why an effective pastor has to understand a little bit about relationship dynamics and personalities. And as you grow, you may want to add an executive pastor or an associate pastor as assistant pastors. You really need to develop a staffing strategy. Research shows that if you have too few on staff, the church suffers. If you have too many, growth is stunted. And here's the best research I've found, and I applied it when I was a pastor. 1 pastor or minister for every 300 people in Sunday worship, plus 1 support staff member for every 300 people in worship. In other words, youth has 600 in regular attendance. How many ministers and support staff are necessary? Answer: 4, 2 ministers and 2 support staff members. The church is like a body. A healthy body has order and organization, with all the parts in the right places, functioning perfectly as they were designed. Develop an organizational chart with pastor, executive pastor, associate pastors, ministers for each department, and assistant ministers for each division within a department. And then add support staff positions to your chart and begin by filling them in with faithful lay people. When the right numbers are reached in a department, bring the lay person on as a full-time staff member. The concept of part-time staff members just doesn't work, except in the cases when you have a retired minister who wants to serve in some capacity. It's not an exact science, but this is what worked best for me for over 30 years, and it kept our church in the black and on the grow. I'm Dave Williams, author of The Art of Pace-Setting Leadership and The Miracle of Faith Goals. Thank you for joining me today for the Pastor's Coach.
For more pastoral and leadership resources, visit us at davewilliams.com. We look forward to hearing from you, and be sure to join us for the next Pastor's Coach Update.